dear friends and net aspirants, welcome to our channel High Point, and in this video we'll look at another important concept related to cultural studies known as global culture. Okay, so if you are studying about globalization, localization, you must also know about global culture as well. This is one of the major effect of global culture. So we will see major concepts related to global culture in the upcoming slides. If you have not yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe to it if you are interested to have more videos related to English literature, cultural studies, or English literary theory and criticism. Also visit my website www.highpoint.in if you are looking for some online serious, well arranged, simplified and affordable study materials in the form of 900 plus audio lectures and 300 plus downloadable materials and previous and practice question papers which are lively attemptable in the website itself, along with many offers, free bonuses and many other things. If you want to know more about the study materials, the free bonuses of personalized study guidelines and free weekly tests that we are giving for our students, or anything related to the website and the materials and the course, or NTA, UGC, NET, JRF, English language and literature, you can use this number given here, or you can use Instagram page. If you are there also in Instagram, you can follow me on Instagram for more variety of materials in the feed session, in reels, as well as in the story session as well. Okay, moving on, let's have an introduction about global culture. It's an effect of globalization. Like I said, it's a major effect of globalization. About globalization, we have done an individual video. You can find that video in the playlist given in the I button. If you have missed that video, you can click the I button and watch it. Okay. Cultural globalization means already exists in the form of Western cultural product, Western media, music or cinema. So global culture or cultural globalization that already exists in the form of various cultural Western cultural products such as Western media. We nowadays watch many Western TV channels, we listen to Western music, we watch Western cinema. So in that kind of forms, Western cultural globalization is already existing. Stuart Hall, one of the major theoretician and thinker and philosopher of cultural studies, Stuart Hall argues that as yet there is not globalized the equivalent of local culture. So he says that even though there is an existence of global culture or cultural globalization exists, but there is not globalized equivalent of local cultures. There is no globalized equivalent of local culture. Locally, in our locality, we have a culture, but there is no globalized equivalent of that local culture. Okay, that's what Stuart Hall argues. He says that local cultures may have a strong emotional appeal for people. See, in our locality, what the culture that we have, that may have a strong emotional appeal for people, while global culture may have an ethnic appeal without the emotional content. We don't have maybe that kind of an emotional appeal to global culture, or global culture won't have an emotional influence to us. It may have an ethnic appeal. So it will influence our culture. We will get influenced by this global culture, by this Western media, music and cinema, but directly we won't apply those things into our life. Always it is the cultural culture that we have. Always it is the local culture which have more emotional appeal to us. Mike Featherstone suggests that whereas local culture is closely tied to place and time, global culture is disconnected and deterritorialized, existing outside the usual reference to geographical territory. This local culture, it will have an appeal to us, and it is closely tied, it is closely connected to place and time. According to the place and the time, the culture will vary, the local culture will vary, but global culture, it is not directly has any reference to geographical territory. It is deterritorialized, or it is disconnected. It is not connected to a particular place where you can point to a particular place and you can say that here exists the global culture. No, it is existing globally. So it is deterritorialized and it is not related to a particular point of time. So global culture is deconnected and deterritorialized. It is existing outside the usual reference to geographical territory. But in the case of local culture, we can say that it is related to a particular place. So you can point to a place and say that here exists a particular kind of local culture. But global culture is deterritorialized in the sense that it is outside, it is existing outside the usual reference to geographical territory. Okay. Now, global culture in global consumer culture. So global culture means global consumer culture, nothing else. Global culture mainly refers to how all over the world people are consuming certain globally available products, globally available cultural products. So the way in which that globally available cultural products, how people are consuming them, perceiving them, enjoying them, and somewhat influenced by them, that is what global culture is all about. The commodification of ethnic products is essential to a global consumer culture. See, Western products, especially Western cinema, that's a cultural product. Western TV channel, that is also a cultural product. Western books and Western lifestyle, all these things are commodified as ethnic products, and that is essential in order to consume this product, ethnic product. You need to commodify that. You should make them into a commodity. That means that need to be made into a product. So the commodification of ethnic products is essential, that is inevitable to a global consumer culture. David held et al. Et al. Means not only David held, some or others are there. David held et al. In Global Transformation identify the following as the principal agents of cultural globalization. Held and others in this work, Global Transformation, they identify the following 4 points as the principal agents of cultural globalization. So these 4 things, they are the major agents. They are the major things which make global cultural globalization happening. Okay. The first one is pop music. Because of pop music, cultural globalization made into a reality, television, cinema, and tourism. So, according to David Held and others, these 4: pop music, television, cinema, and tourism. These are the principal agents of cultural globalization. So, if you want to influence the world with your culture, you need to make pop music which are you know uh, which are also enjoyable by the entire global consumers, or television channels or television programs which are applicable and appeal to global consumers. You need to make cinemas which are globally applicable, which are which are making an appeal to global consumer. You can promote tourism in your local area in order to have a cultural influence there, to promote cultural globalization. Okay, global telecommunication technology and the internet are the factors that affect and effect cultural globalization. How this cultural globalization is made possible, how the music is available everywhere, how television is available in your TV, global televisions or western television channels are available, how cinema can be watched by sitting in your own desk, how you can go and you got the information about various places which are relevant for tourism because of telecommunication technology and the internet. So internet and telecommunication technology are the major factors that affect and effect global cultural globalization. The change in telecommunication and change happening in internet, it will affect the cultural globalization. It will make an impact in cultural globalization. Okay, moving on. 3 responses to cultural globalizations. David Held et al. In the same book referred earlier, they says that there are 3 responses to cultural globalization. The first one is those who see cultural homogenization as an outcome of the impact of Western media and consumerism, hyper globalizers. See, in the first category of respondents, they see Cultural homogenization. See, because of cultural globalization, local cultures lost their relevance, and cultural homogenization. Everywhere you will find homo cultures. Everywhere you will find more or less same influences, same culture. That is cultural homogenization. Those who are responding this way, they are known as hyper globalizers. Cultural homogenization, they believe that happened because as an outcome of the impact of Western media and consumerism. So, as an impact, as an effect of Western media and consumerism, cultural homogenization happened. So, this is the first response to cultural globalization by hyper globalizers. The second one is those who see the impact of global culture as superficial. So, they are the skeptics. So, culture, global culture is a superficial thing. It never penetrates into the culture of the local people, or the local culture will be stand as a thing which are not affected, or which are not having an influence by this global culture. So these people, these skeptics, they see the impact of global culture as superficial. Nothing goes, it never influences the local culture. That's the second response. The third one is those who predict the emergence of new global culture networks and hybrids. They are transformationists. So the transformationist, the third category of response made by transformationists, they believe that they predict also the emergence, the coming of new global culture network and hybrid cultures. Okay, because of the existence of global culture and local culture, they predict, these transformationist and third category respondents predict the emergence of new global culture network, at the same time hybrid cultures. Okay. So these are the three responses. Now, globalization cannot be seen as a one-way effect of Western culture on local ones. So globalization is not a one-way effect. Now, where the Western culture will affect the local ones, but it's not a one way, but it's a highway where local culture or culture of a country or a geography will affect the global culture as well. So globalization is not a one way product, it's a two way product. Local products such as Indian cuisine and ethnic wear have now reached the global market. So it's not that globalization or global culture is not always the Western consumerism, or Western culture has an effect upon local ones, but the local or geographical culture will also have a global market in there. So such as Indian cuisine and ethnic wear, they have now reached the global markets. Interculturalism, the cultural exchanges that are facilitated by globalization. So this interconnectedness, this two-way effect of globalization is known as interculturalism. Interculturalism means it goes both ways, where Western culture will affect the local culture, at the same time local culture will also find a place in global market. That is interculturalism, and it's an effect of globalization. It emphasizes the exchanges among cultures. That means interculturalism emphasizes the exchanges among cultures done by individuals or by non-official groups without obeying national boundaries. So interculturalism emphasizes or giving stress to exchanges among cultures. So there will be exchanges among cultures in which some other culture will affect our culture, and our cultural product will affect other cultures which are outside the geographical territory that we live. Okay, so that kind of exchanges are emphasized in interculturalism, and it is done by who makes these exchanges. So interculturalism is done by individuals or no, or by non-official groups. Individuals, as people communicate with each other, this interculturalism happens, or but done by non-official groups without obeying national boundaries. So interculturalism is transnational. Okay, the new cosmopolitanism can fight the cultural hegemony of the West and following the same methodological principles. So because of globalization and global culture, hegemony of Western cultural product is always there, because Western countries are first world countries. Like we see in the previous videos, there will be a fragmentation of production and consumption. So cosmopolitanism can fight, the new cosmopolitanism can fight this cultural hegemony of Western following some methodological principles. Which are they? There are three methodological principles. First one, demand for the participating cultures equal right to interpretation. So demand the participation of various cultures, equal rights that they could also bring about their ethnic and their products in the global markets. So that need to be maintained. Cultural conversation of equal. So there should be culturally, there should be a dialogue which need to be done for having equal rights for local and non-European, non-Western products. A conversation of cultures resist the ideas of a culturally integrated world. So when it comes to culturally integrated world, always the Western culture will have a prominence. That's the way it works. A conversation of cultures resist the ideas of the culturally integrated world. So locally, when it comes, you need to resist the culturally integrated world's ideas. That's how you can maintain. That's how you can resist the cultural hegemony of the Western products. Now, so I think that's all about global culture. This is one of the relevant concept of cultural studies, especially related to globalization. Try to remember the thinkers that I have mentioned in here and the works mentioned in here. So you can follow me on Instagram, and also don't forget to visit my website www.highpoint.in. See the materials that we are providing after having the free trial. If you are studying on your own, you can visit my website so that you may have an idea about what you need to cover one by one in order to achieve, in order to have a full-fledged covering of NET JRF English language and literature syllabus. Okay, and also you leave a comment if you like this video, or if you have any questions or queries. You can also you can mention all that in the comment section, or use the WhatsApp number or the Instagram page to reach out to me. Okay, meet in the next video session. Until then, stay tuned to Hypoen and be happy wherever you are, guys, and strive for best for the upcoming NET JRF English language and literature exam, guys. Okay, ta-ta and bye bye.